Adios, Hilo. Adios, Hawaii. So it's 12:30, July the 3rd. I think it's Thursday. And high tide was 11:08, so we're a little bit behind schedule. We wanted to get out promptly at high tide because the entrance to the Waialoa River is pretty shallow. But now we're at the exit pretty much to Hilo Bay. We are looking at probably a couple of days, so it's Thursday. By the time we get into like Saturday, Sunday, some uncomfortable conditions, I think. We're just gonna kind of head north for a while, up until probably for 3-4 days, something like that. Our first waypoint's gonna be like 32 degrees north, 155 west. So we're already kind of at 155 west now, and about 19, maybe almost 20 degrees north. So we've got a few days north to go, probably at least 3, and then we need to see what happens around this North Pacific High and how we're going to either go through or around that. It's going to define our overall route strategy, and you know, initial reports are that the weather router we're working with thinks it's going to flatten out a little bit, which would be good for us to kind of motor and get across the other side in a couple days or so. We can, you know, we motor for 6 days if we need to. Really strongly prefer not to do that. So it's 1:30. We're making our way north. We're actually doing about 6 knots and maybe a little under 1600 RPM. So we're motor sailing right now. We have the full main and full Genoa out, and we probably could put out the staysail. We've got about 12 knots of true, and soon as we get situated a little bit more, I want to get us kind of north of the island here just a little bit, and then once we do that and see what's going on with the winds, we'll probably kill the engine and switch over from autopilot to hydrovane. Hydrovane is running the show right now. Engine's off. We're doing I don't know, somewhere in the mid-5s. It's hard to tell because we're bashing into these waves in front of us. So we got a little bash. We're running at about 50 degrees apparent, but our course is still a little high, so I might crack off a little bit more, and might give us a little bit better speed. So I'm going to kind of monitor this for a while and see how this works. We've only got like 13 to 14 knots of true wind. I don't have the staysail up. Let me put the staysail up, maybe get us a little bit more speed, but you know, at the same time, like, this is pretty comfortable, so we might just jam like this for a while. Almost 4 p.m. and Hawaii is starting to fade out of sight with the clouds behind us. We can still see it. This will be the last sight of land that we have for you know, 3 weeks or so. All right, so it's Friday, July 4th. This is day 2. We did over 100 miles last night. We still have another 4.5 hours until we do our noon run. Andy's taping up the hydrovane. Andy and I kind of got our butts kicked with squalls this morning. The problem was either we had too much wind or too little wind, so we kept going back and forth between staysail and Genoa while keeping the main reefed. So just trying to get consistent pressure, and it was super frustrating and everything else. And then this afternoon we've been in about 17 to 20 knots of true wind, and the wind stabilized, and it's just been fantastic. Like, we've been you know, little rolly here and there every once in a while, maybe a little bit of spray, but it's been really nice sailing, and we've been, you know, in the mid to high 6s speed wise pretty consistently. We're looking at, you know, the next few days where we're going to try and get across this northern high pressure zone. It's like a bubble with no wind in it, kind of like the doldrums. And if you catch it when it kind of forms a little bit of a bubble, you get to the other side and there's like this ridge of pressure that you can kind of ride northeast. You can really start trucking east and it'll expand. So you kind of have to go, you know, up north a little bit as you go east. But you get on the other side of that because right now we've got the winds going clockwise, and right now we've got the winds coming, you know, mostly out of the east. When we get around this, the winds are going to be coming out of like the west, northwest, and that'll be pulling us into the mainland. The good news is that within about the next day, like the squalls and where we're at, or where we're going to be, the squalls should be dissipating between now and say the next 24 hours. Tonight we may get into some squalls. Tomorrow morning we might get in some squalls, and then things will level out. What do we have here? Chicken and rice?
Chicken tenders and some sort of broccoli cheese rice.
You're hired, dude. You couldn't ask more for crew when you're just sitting up here observing and YouTubing when he hands up the dinner. All right, it's 11 a.m. It's 11 p.m. on July the 4th. We've got we had an AIS alarm pop up on, so the VHF radio, we set up, I put a 10-mile alarm on there, and I can actually see this guy blinking here. And I've turned on radar so I can see the Janet Marie here. So the Janet Marie is a cargo ship, 778 feet, and they're doing about 20 knots, pretty close to it, 19.89. And they've got a CPA of 1.51 miles, so they're coming kind of close in about 35 minutes. What that means is they responded right away when we hailed them on radar, on VHF. They're a little late, but they don't have us on radar, and they're not seeing us on their AIS, but then they kind of said that their equipment is junk, which is super comforting. And they're getting ready to do a watch change at the same time. We're going to monitor them as they get a little bit closer. We'll see if they see us as they get a little bit closer. We'll probably light up the deck lights and stuff like that if they don't, and I'll ask them to pass astern of us.
I'm starting to pick you up maybe 10, 12 miles out, something like that.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to see if the gear was working. Appreciate you guys giving us a little bit of room. Safe travels to, looks like Oakland you guys might be headed?
That's correct. Heading back to Oakland and back home to Long Beach and back to Honolulu after that.
All right, you guys will be done with your circuit before we get there. We're headed to San Pedro, LA, Long Beach area.
Oh, perfect. Sounds good. Where are you guys coming from?
We came from Hilo on the Big Island of Hawaii. Before that, Tahiti and French Polynesia.
Oh man, I'm jealous. Sounds great. Well, have a safe trip, and yeah, we'll see you safely down our port side by about 2 miles.
Excellent. Thank you and mahalo. You guys have a good evening. Keeldragger standing by on 16.
All right, thanks for the call, Janet Marie 16.
Oh, squall. 27 knots. True wind. 28. A little bit of rain. So we saw some clouds, and right before we did the shift change, wasn't blowing too bad, but we decided to go ahead and switch from the Genoa down to the staysail with the triple reefed main, and it's starting to settle down now. It's about 23 knots of true wind, and we're doing about 4.6 knots speed over ground. We definitely lose a lot of speed when we're just flying the staysail instead of the Genoa. boat's pretty much under control. So I got to tell you, first of all, you know, these have been kind of rough conditions, and Andy's doing an outstanding job as his crew, just taking it all in stride. But he seems to have a lot of problems in the galley. He cut his finger off, and he's having big problems making coffee. All right, this is take 2 of Andy trying to make himself some coffee on board.
It shouldn't be that difficult, but when your kitchen is just literally rocking back and forth, something as simple as putting Folgers crystals in your cup can get a little... See that?
So see this heel angle right there? -4, -5 degrees. I just want you to see the extreme heel angles that Andy's dealing with and can't make a cup of coffee to save his life.
This is take 3.
Hell of a sailor, but I would not hire him in my kitchen. Although he did cook a decent dinner last night.
All right.
And I appreciate that. So we're not getting any power from our main 2 Bimini solar panels. Andy just helped check the fuses, and we replaced them whether they needed them or not. That looks okay. We're seeing voltage there. I don't know. I'm starting to suspect it's maybe there's an issue or a short from the wiring from the panel, or from the Victron controller to the batteries. So I'm going to check that next. So Andy dove under the lazarette to check the fuses for the solar panels, and then I got into the engine room and found this shorted out wire from the battery side of the solar controller, the Victron MPPT controller. So this wire currently no bueno, replaced it, and we are back in business with our Bimini Solar, which is good because we were down quite a bit. We saw 31. Starting to settle a little bit. We've kind of had more of the same. Andy's been he's been on ship for the last 3 hours, and he's been sailing like a champ. We got another couple of those 31 knot squalls putting pressure on us, so it's kind of driving us a little bit more west than we'd like to go. We really want to try and stay right at 155 west. We're about 10-11 miles kind of off that right now to the west, which is, I don't think it's a huge deal, but the wind angle, true wind angle's down now to about 75 degrees, where we were seeing 90, you know, in the 80s to 110 or 120. You know, we kept expecting, based on the forecast, for it to settle around the 80s. Now we've got about 20 knots. It's pretty comfortable, and we might be able to take it up, you know, a little bit, so we're not making as far west. But I think until things settle down a little bit, you know, we get these periods where boats going slow, we want to raise more canvas because wind's pretty manageable, and then, you know, 10 minutes later you get this big squall, and it's like, you know, thank goodness we didn't have that Genoa up. So that's the game we've been kind of playing really since all night last night. I think Andy asked me at one point, hey, should we pull the Genoa out and start working, you know, when the winds get up, put the Genoa out and switch to the staysail, and we wouldn't have had time, and it would have been pretty squirrely trying to do that last night. Maybe things chill out a little bit. Tend to get more squalls, you know, right around sunrise. Still early this morning, so we'll give it a couple hours or so and see how things stabilize. But I think the forecast is still going to be gusty winds all day through the day today, so we might be playing this game for a while. All right, we've got Chef Andy working on lunch here. What's going on, Andy?
Just using the Omnia oven to heat up some of that pizza we bought, and then a sandwich that we bought. So just kind of heating things up, putting on a little mozzarella because they didn't put on barely anything on the sandwich.
So we put 3 or 4 pizzas at Domino's we came back with, and stuck them in the freezer, and then 3 sandwiches from Domino's that were sparsely provisioned with accoutrements. So Andy is enhancing said pizza and sandwiches with mozzarella. Blowing about 19 knots out right now. It's pretty comfortable. We just had a squall push through that was pushing 29, 30 knots sustained actually for I don't know, a half hour or so. Seemed like an eternity. And I think we're going to be going through this for the next day. It's tough because we head down wind a little bit, not a lot, but we bear off course quite a bit to make things more comfortable when it's blowing like that. And the wind's shifted a little bit, so true wind has shifted a little. So now we're about 25.1 nautical miles from 155 west. So I wasn't super concerned about dropping on our course a little bit, but we've been dropping a lot more, a lot faster than I've wanted to. So so these lighter winds, I'm trying to pinch and bring us back up a little bit. We're still dropping on our course just because of the wind angle, but we're not dropping as fast in what I would call these lighter winds. Every time we get past a squall, the winds get real light, and then I'm like, well, maybe I should put the Geno up. And then as soon as I think about getting in action and put the Geno out, put the staysail furled, then the wind picks up back again. So the sun's starting to go down. It's kind of one of my favorite times of the day, provided there's no squalls. Just want to do a quick shout out to my boy Andy here. Gave Andy some instructions on how we can get the boat dialed in when these squalls start gusting to 30 knots. And first one came up when he was on watch alone. I was in my bunk, and I just listened to the boat and how the boat felt, and he nailed it, man. He got everything dialed in, and he actually had several of those squalls come up for a while and dealt with them. Super good job, dude. Really excited to have you here as crew. Thanks, bro. Day 5, Monday, July 7th. We're just flying along here. It's about a quarter till 7 a.m. We do have some clouds in front of us. Winds overall are down. We may get some squall action. Really haven't seen anything past kind of the low to mid 20s for a while. Hopefully that sticks. I just took the third reef out of the main, so now we're down to reef number 2 in the main and staysail. So we're still in a reduced sail configuration. Should have no problemo with a low 20s kind of gust squall situation. All right, dog, this is what, so we're gonna talk through the process of this arrangement of you going forward while I sit back here and bark orders. We're gonna put some tension on both of the halyards because we I think when we switched out the shackles and stuff, we didn't have quite enough tension on them when I put them back on, so what I'm going to do, the first thing is I'm going to go back to the hydraulic backstay adjuster, and I'm going to put a little bit of backstay on it before we tension the halyards, not after. So we'll do that first, and then I'm going to take, there's one wrap in the staysail. So Andy, when you get up there and you get ready, I believe the halyard is going to be this white speckled line on the starboard side.
Which halyard for?
Will be for the staysail.
Okay.
So I'm going to open up the clutch for the furler and take that wrap out.
Yep.
And then I'm going to loosen the sheet, so it's going to flog around a little bit. And I'll wait till you're ready before I do that.
All right.
There's a rope clutch on it, so you don't have to worry about it. When you get ready, just wind it in.
Yeah.
And just know that both of these winches, the self-tailing thing, is messed up, because I need to get parts for them.
I'll just tail them as I do it.
Just self-tail it, get it reasonably tight, and then you're good. And then when you give me the signal that you're done on the staysail, I will furl it before we go to the genoa. When we do the genoa, I'm going to let that sucker out. The lines are going to be flopping around a little bit, so just be careful with that.
Try to maintain, if you can, those sheets, because they're going to wrap up and get all messed. I'm gonna do my best to do that. So we'll do that, and then after that, we'll probably just sail with the genoa out after. But you'll have to clean up those lines. Yeah.
You know, and get them all tightened up and everything. But that's pretty much it for the procedure. Whenever you're ready,
let's go.
Let's do this. All right, Andy did a great job. We've got the halyards all tensioned up, backstays all tensioned. We'll trim the genoa here once he gets back, but we've already picked up speed. We're already doing in the 6s, high 5, so we picked up a knot just doing that. So once he gets back, we'll dial in, and maybe we'll be doing closer to 7 is my guess. Really nice job, bro. Excellent work.
No problem, brother.
You don't get props from me for doing mediocre shit either. We have 15, 16, 17 knots of wind, and Andy, what is our boat speed?
Right now, 6'4", 6'0", 6'3", 6'5", 6'6", 6'8".
We're moving finally on our way home. Although we're going slightly west. We're full canvas, so we just took the reef out of the main. We have full genoa, full staysail, just under 14 knots of true wind, and our apparent wind angle is just a little under 60. We are in the 7s, 6s to 7s, speed over ground, so we're making pretty good speed, and we're doing a little bit better on the ley line now. So I'm okay if we come up a little bit like this and see if we can hold our course a little bit better, as long as we're getting the speed too, and the speed looks great. Quick update. It's Tuesday morning, I think the 8th, probably about 3:30 a.m. We got squalls again tonight. It's down a little bit right now. I'm seeing 18, 19 knots, but had a real ass kicker last night. And part of it was the intensity, but a lot of it was just how fast it came up on us. We went from sailing at maybe 14 knots to 34 knots in a matter of seconds. It was only at 34. I mean, it climbed pretty quickly. By the time I started responding, it was we were already heeled over pretty good, and it was raining pretty hard too. So it was the strongest squall, in terms of wind speed, but also just how quickly it accelerated that we've had so far. So I was a little disappointed. I thought we were kind of out of the squall zone. We had some great sailing yesterday, and tonight's just been tough. So we're down to triple reef and staysail right now, doing about 5 knots, which I think for right now is about as good as we could expect. We actually, from a mileage perspective, I think we're going to have a good 24-hour run, assuming you know, the rest of this morning we're able to do good speeds. But I think tonight kind of wore us both down a little bit. So I've got my earplugs in, and this loud noise you hear is the generator. That is not an optimal space, but it's the least worst place. It's too wet up on deck to put it up ahead. We wanted to put it as far back as we could, keep the exhaust fumes, you know, as much as possible of them kicking backwards. We're not going to run it at night or anything like that. And then I got the forward, got the companionway closed. 9 p.m. Tuesday. Andy was just on watch. We've been getting 16, 17 knots, maybe top. So we've got the Genoa double reefed main, and we're doing 6.5 knots. Seas are not too bumpy, you know, a little roll here and roll there, but pretty comfortable, and we are making good speed. So this is you know, I think another day of some of the best sailing that we've had. We're getting closer to the high. We're actually 88.8 nautical miles from 32 degrees north, 157 degrees west. So we're getting pretty close to the spot where we're going to start making the transition and start working the high. Wednesday, July 9. It's about 10 till 6 a.m. Just beautiful this morning. I don't think we hardly touched the hydrovane last night between Andy's shift and my shift. I didn't touch it in both of my shifts last night. And well, except for this one that started at 3 a.m. that I'm just about getting ready to close out. So we've got a new waypoint of 35 north, 158 west. That's taking us into the transition for the high, and it kind of looks like that bubble for the high is going to collapse a bit. We expect the conditions to continue to get lighter, you know, through today and tomorrow, although winds right now are the same 14, 15 we saw last night. I was seeing 10 earlier, so it started to drop off a little bit, but it might just be because there's some cloud cover. So I expect as we get into tomorrow, we're very likely going to be doing a little bit of motoring, and that'll be the first motoring that we've done since we've left Hilo. Wednesday, July 9th, it's about 20 till 4 p.m. We started the engine at 3:30, about 3:15 actually. Started making water at 3:30, so we had a pretty good water making run yesterday with the generator, and I just wanted to top things off. The generator quit when it ran out of gas. We didn't completely fill the tank yesterday, but that's good because we want to empty it before we put it in storage anyways. And kind of our general rule is if we dip below 4 knots, we're going to fire up the engine. Now we're only doing, you know, 4.6, 4.7 motor sailing, double reefed main, and the wind's kind of coming at us from about 45 degrees apparent over on our starboard side. That's actually going to clock more behind us, I think, as the night goes on. All right, so we started motoring, and Andy and I just had a good call with our weather router, Mike at PV Sailing. He's awesome. I'd encourage you to work with him. I've been getting his help on the crossing of the Marquesas as well as to Hawaii and now back home. But now that we're kind of getting into the high, what we're going to do is we are going to start heading northeast. Basically what we're going to do is chase the tail of the high that's getting compressed by a low to the northwest, and we'll get on the high side of the high, but we're going to be chasing the tail. Then we will flip down and get on the low side and boomerang into California. So We want to get as northeast or as close as practical as we can to our next waypoint, which is
34 north, 153 west.
34 north, 153 west. We're at 32 north, 156, so we've got to go northeast. The challenge is our waypoint bearing is 060. Our apparent wind angle is 048. So it's practically upwind from where we're at right now. So we're going to wait until the wind's going to clock a little bit around, or when the wind dies. Whenever we get the opportunity to come up higher, we're going to come up higher and we're going to head straight for it. Boom.
Bitch.
You heard him. Good morning. It's Thursday, July 10th, about 6 a.m. We're motor sailing across the North Pacific High. We started doing that yesterday afternoon. We've been making in the high fives, a little under 6 knots with Genoa and double reefed mainsail up. And it's been it's been pretty pleasant, other than listening to the engine all night. Sea state's relatively calm. It's just a little bit of a gentle rolling motion. Thing is right now we're doing a course over ground of about 030 degrees true, and we really want to get some more easting in. So we're starting to make our way, more kind of northeast. But what we expect to happen is this big kind of bubble where there's no wind in the North Pacific High. The wind above the North Pacific High goes kind of to the north and then to the west, and then goes to the southwest. So it's the wind goes clockwise. So we want to go either above that high to bring us back down into California, or we as the Pacific High kind of starts to get squeezed a little bit by a low pressure system, which is to the northwest, we try and ride that coattails of the high as it kind of dissipates, and then we make our trek back to California. I saw the line paying out, and the reel bent. Andy is, we've slowed down the boat to a crawl.
I just wonder if we caught something, or like trash or fish.
Is it actively pulling, or
That's
is it?
what I'm waiting to see.
Live action. Woo! Live action. Good God. See that little fish?
Jeez Louise.
Yeah. Keep that away from my prop.
So this is what we caught. A bunch of BS. Look what I caught. This is great. Toothbrush. We got a toothbrush. We got some fishing gear. Man, this is awesome. I don't know what we're gonna make for dinner, but we'll figure it out.
Something large out here jumping. I think they're dolphins or something. There's multiple contacts.
Okay.
Oh, this is sweet. Dolphins, our first sighting. Good morning. It's Friday, July 11th, about 5 a.m. And as you can see, we've got a bunch of clouds not too high above the ground here, so we continue to motor sail through the North Pacific High. Some squalls there, some are producing rain. We went through one or two last night. Just got mild rain. We didn't get hit with any really large ones. We steered around a couple last night, but we're going slow. We're in the low 4s, and it's because we have a little bit of a headwind, and because we're also not pushing very many RPMs, so we've got the engine running at about 1800 RPMs. It's just that's a really economical cruise speed, so we're trying to maximize keeping our fuel just because we don't know how long we're going to be motoring. It's Friday evening, July 11th, about 6:43 p.m. We're kind of trying to chase this North Pacific high that's been reducing in size, and we're not getting the lift we're really hoping for. So we're you know, the waypoint we want to get to is right under where the high is going to kind of settle. And we come up right underneath it, and then we kind of boomerang back down towards Southern California. That waypoint bearing is at 060, and our sailing course over ground is running between 010 and 015 right now. So the wind's going to come up a little bit, maybe another 12 degrees of true wind shift in our favor, but we're not going to make that angle. We also tried to motor east a bit, but there's just enough wind bogging us down that we were doing less than 4 knots. Like we were going pretty slow. So we're able to, you know, kind of hold our own with you know, 5 to 6 knots with pretty light winds, like, you know, between 9 and 10 knots of wind, and that's going to climb a little bit. So we think we're going to get better boat speed, but at this point it looks like the only option we really have is to go mostly north, which isn't necessarily a horrible thing, but it, you know, might kind of spoil whether or not we're able to actually do this maneuver and boomerang down to Southern California. Could mean that we're winding up with some pretty tight angles and a bash headed back to Southern California as we make a return. So I think that's a likely outcome. Right now it's kind of wait and see. We got a couple of hours before the next predict wind updates and stuff like that, and we'll chat with our weather router and see what he's thinking based on the progress that we're making. But little tough. This probably means we're going to be out here a little longer than we were hoping to, but you know, such is sailing. Saturday, 6 a.m. So I'm down to make coffee and heard the wind coming up. It's been pretty chill for the last couple hours of sailing. We got this squall right here. This sucker's giving us a little bit of wind, and I may have to bear off a little bit. We'll see if it comes up a little bit more. We've got double reef main, but we've got full head sails up right now. Saturday, July 12th, about 12:30, just did the noon update. We did, I think, 117 nautical miles. If my memory's correct, my short-term memory, I just did it a half hour ago. You know, it's not too bad considering we've had these kind of challenging conditions, and challenging just that the wind's up with the squalls, then the squalls create a vacuum, the wind's down, and then you motor, and we try and make east when we motor, and then the wind comes back up, or then you just have light winds and you're trying to squeak out every bit of speed that you can, while trying to stay as high as you can, because we're chasing the tail of this North Pacific high, which has been shrinking. It's kind of now mostly in front of us right now. So that means we've been super active, and I think even the fact that we got over 100 nautical miles yesterday is a testament to us working kind of between Andy and I, working non-stop day and night. So right now we've got a little over 16, 17 knots of true wind, and the true wind direction has come way up to like I'm seeing 140, 150 right now, where we're settling around, you know, between what, 110, 120, maybe 125 earlier. So the wind's up, and we are up on our course. So rather than doing the 5 degrees that we were doing a half hour ago, we're now doing 73 degrees course over ground. Now I'm gonna have to do a little adjustment here so I don't shake our Genoa to death here, and get us aligned a little bit better. But overall, I like the speed, I like the course. We'll just see how long we can ride this and keep trying to get to our waypoint. So I have what we call, this one says homie, morale boosters, which is kind of like a little treat. You have one a day, and Andy and I each got a pack, so we've got 24 of these total, one a day. Nice cold Coke Zero or Pepsi Zero or whatever. And it's looking like we might come in a little after 24 days, so all hell's gonna break loose at that point probably. But for right now, we're keeping it strong. I know I've said this before, but I wanted to kind of address, personal side of doing these offshore passages. A lot of this kind of holds for whether you're solo or with the crew, but you go through on, you could be offshore for a month or so, right? And you go through every range of emotions during that time, to the points where, you're approaching some milestone, conditions are just perfect, and you're elated, and you're really excited, to points where conditions are just really brutal, like you're bashing, or for days and days, and it just kind of wears you down. It's hard to cook, it's hard to crap, it's impossible to sleep, and then you get days that are just like downright frustrating, where you have great wind, you have some great sailing, then the wind dies, and the wind comes up, the wind dies, you kind of motor in between. This last couple of days for us have been a little bit more on the frustrating side. We had some brutal stuff coming out of Hilo for a few days, and we pressed through that, and then we got a little bit of a reprieve, and then this frustrating stuff that isn't really that bad, but it's just frustrating because we're constantly having to work around the clock to try and keep the boat moving. But then, it's a small boat, so everybody kind of has to respect each other, and sometimes people get tired and grumpy, or so it's really important to know, like, before you get on a long passage like this, whether you gel well with the crew or not. Pretty thankful that Andy and I sailed together a decent amount, including all the way down the coast of Baja California in Mexico. So this has been a pretty good trip, but I'm sure I've gotten on his nerves once in a while. You just keep grinding through it. Some of these days you kind of get to a low, and you're like, well, you don't have any choice but to fight through whatever issues you have, whether it's equipment breakage or weather or whatever else, to just keep moving ahead, and causes you to dig to a deeper level, inside of you than you'd be forced to in a lot of other situations. And all the stories that I've always admired about other sailors were the ones where you really saw this extraordinary display of grit, and I'd like to think I have a little bit at this point, having done 11,000 miles offshore within the last 9 months. Maybe almost. We'll be over, I think, 12,000 miles probably when I get home. I'll have to add everything up, but man, it can be just downright brutal and tough out here, and then other days it's like it's the best place in the world. Saturday, July 12th at about quarter after 5 p.m. We're still making way. We've got about 15 or so knots, hard on the wind, so we're bashing. Sea state's a little bit worse, plus we're kind of bashing into it. About 50 degrees apparent wind angle, so we're running a pretty tight angle, and our course over ground is 50, roughly 050 to 055, which is better than we've been running for a while. So true wind at 138. We were seeing, you know, numbers more like 110, 115, the high side 120, and I had it go up higher into the 150s plus earlier today. No immediate squalls. So we've been just doing our thing for the last couple of hours, making about 6 knots, give a point or two. Sunday, July 13th. It's about 10 after 5. Days are getting longer. It's been, I've seen some light out here for at least an hour, if not longer. We're still making our way northeast. Under about 16 knots, and seas are sloppy. So Andy and I have been kind of fighting it all night in between our shifts. Once we're getting up to 20, and that gets kind of tough because it gets pretty bumpy and it's hard to carry that and have things smooth out with the Genoa up, and then the Stace was too slow. So I've been fortunate, at least for the back half of this watch, where I had, you know, 16 knots or so, but it's still a little bit bumpy, and there's clouds up there, so we don't know when we're going to get hit with the next squall. So it's Sunday, July 13th at about 1 p.m. Just heard back from our weather router who's helping us with the weather routing, who says we might be able to do our flip tomorrow afternoon, one more day of this. We're not getting our hopes up yet. It's going to be Groundhog Day. We think we're going to be in for another uncomfortable evening like we were last night. So we're just going to treat every day like it's a new one and just press forward. And then, you know, once we do the flip and we tack, it's going to be some hard sailing, just on port tack instead of starboard for a little while, I think. So we'll just, you know, we'll just keep grinding out the miles and see what happens with this high. Slow the boat down. What do you want me to do? Slow the boat down. I'll be like, nope. I don't even know how to do that.
Looks like a little tuna.
Look at that. Look at that. Now what do we do with it?
Right?
Yeah, I don't have a gaff. You can just pick it up with your hand. Pick up the leader with your hand. Just pick his ass up and stick him. Keep him on the side though. Look at that. Holy crap. Yeah, boy. Nice work.
Where?
Watch your arm, you're blocking the seam.
Not too much. That's the good stuff.
All right.
Yeah, look at that.
All right. Andy and I joked that when he caught a fish, there'd be a squall. It's 20 knots or 22, but here you go.
There's the fish, and there's the squall.
And there's the fish. Well done, playa. Monday, July 14th. Good morning. You can tell that we're up pretty far north at this point because it's 10 till 5 a.m. I've been watching the sun come up for a little while now, so the days are really starting to get long up here, which is good. We're starting to get better solar production, at least when we don't have clouds. But we at least have clouds in the morning and in the evening. We get some breaks during the day. So we continue bashing northeast, trying to get as much east as we can, chasing the tail of the North Pacific High. And we'll find out whether today's the day, whether we're going to make our turn or not, but we've got a little bit further to go. Looks like we have bashing both directions, so we're bashing north, east. We make the turn, we're going to be bashing again quite a ways. I think days and days and days before it turns into a reach and brings us into SoCal. So today's kind of just weighing heavily on me today, just kind of the gravity of like we're at the middle of nowhere, close to the North Pacific High, chasing it at 38 degrees and some change north. We're gonna turn in less than 2 hours and start heading south, and because of this clockwise motion around the high, it's actually it's going to push us away from land, so we heading south, but we may have some west in it as well. So we're going to point as high as we can towards Southern California, knowing that in a couple 3 days that the winds will shift and they'll be coming more straight out of the north, and then we can go from being super close hauled and trying to keep the shallowest angles we can and everything like that to more of a beam reach. And we're likely going to have some rough conditions off the beam, so I think it's going to be, you know, we'll be on our ear, close hauled, just you know, trying to keep the boat safe at everything and not overdoing it. And then when we get on this reach, the reach is I think it's going to be pretty rolly, because it looks like you know, we might get up into a little bit of wind and all that. So I think we're in for an uncomfortable ride for a while. It's 1,500 miles roughly to get to Catalina Island, which is our approximate destination. Likely going to take us about 2 weeks to get there. We'll do better than 100 miles a day. We should. We've got the wind to do it, but it's going to be a longer course because it's not going to be a straight line. So my best guess, you can hold me to this because I'm sure it'll be wrong, but my best guess today, realistically, July 28th, we're going to make landfall. We could do. All right, look at that. That's a poke bowl caught by the fishing master himself, Virgil Ward. Man, that looks pretty damn good. So we're kind of scrapping right now to make 180, which is due south. We'd like to do a little better than 180 because Southern California is not 180. It's mostly west of here, east of here, very much east of here. Your camera's all over the place.
90. That's all right.
Yeah, we need to be doing more like 90 instead of 180. So we are going to be pinching angles pretty good these next probably 3 days or so till we can come up. Hi, good evening. This is sailing vessel Keeldragger, about 11 miles off your starboard bow. Looks like our looks like we have about 4.5 miles CPA. It's gotten a little bit shorter. I just wanted to make sure that you guys saw us on AIS and were aware of us. Over.
Sailing vessel channel 13, please.
What did he say?
I don't know, something channel 16.
I'm sorry, I didn't copy that.
Sailing vessel, can you repeat your last
Yeah, sailing vessel Keeldragger. We have a CPA of about 5 nautical miles, so it looks like we're clear, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys saw us on AIS.
Yes, my AIS is on, operational.
Okay, and do you see us as a target on your AIS about 10.9 nautical miles off your starboard bow?
Yes, that is affirmative. I can see you. Keeldragger.
Okay, perfect. It looks like we're fine on CPA. I just wanted to make contact with you. That's all I had for this evening. Have a good night. Keeldragger standing by on 1-6.
Yes, very well noted. I am monitoring you from last 30 minutes. I will stay clear. I will pass with a good CPA. Stand by 1-6. Thank you so much. Have a good sailing.
Thank you. Keeldragger standing by on 1-6. Tuesday, July 15th, 7 a.m. We're bashing. We're doing course over ground 150 approximately, and our waypoint bearings 101. So we continue to dive, going mostly south, a little bit of east, and then the arc should change a little bit, start pointing us higher towards our mark starting this afternoon, I think. So we're going to be doing more south than anything else for a little while. We're running pretty tight apparent wind angles, like in the high 40s, which is a lot higher than I would really prefer, but weather router said get in full pointing mode, so we're trying to go as fast as practical, keep the boat safe and in one piece while we are bashing. Got a GMDSS gale warning today and again on Thursday. I think it works for us a little bit better because we're headed mostly south right now for the one for today. So I think we're kind of moving away from where the worst of that's going to be. And then I don't think we're far enough east yet for this one that's coming in Thursday. So it's Tuesday today. I'm hoping that you know, conditions for us don't get much rougher than they are. I think we're going to see a little bit more wind. It's definitely going to impact our sailing angles and all of that. We're still, you know, bashing pretty high into the 40s, and you know, we're not going to be able to do that if the wind comes up and stuff. So we'll just play it by ear. If we need to heave to, we'll heave to. Day 13, July 15th, 2025. It's about a quarter after 11 a.m. So we're running a little bit low on battery. Yours truly is probably running the Starlink a little bit too long. But we're not getting much solar production relative to what we should because of all the clouds. So last night we got our asses kicked. We've been sailing with apparent wind angles in the 40s, which is kind of crazy, but we are really bending hard to try and get more of an easterly direction. The winds around this high are still going clockwise and wanting to take us south. This is something that we knew, but we've got, you know, another day, two of this, I don't know, before things level out. And things actually should be coming down a little bit today, so we should start to see the effect of that, where we can start making even more east. But yeah, so we're fighting that battle. So right now the generator's on, Starlink's on. We may turn that off for a little bit, and the water maker, we're making water. So we're gonna try and take this opportunity to get whatever we can in the tanks and the batteries. So that's the plan for now and for the next few hours. Meanwhile, we're just kind of hunkered down in here because there's fumes up there and it's just kind of bouncy around, so it's hard to find a difficult spot. July 15th, about a quarter till 5. It's a little bumpy as we head into the evening. Went ahead and put in the staysail. Little drama, the furling line got caught in kind of the slot that's in the tow rail. So Andy came up and we jointly fixed that. He volunteered to go forward, and always makes me a little bit nervous. But things are pretty chill right now, and we're just kind of watching our true wind angle right now. It's 88, 87, 86. So we want to see that number continue to drop. Hopefully when we get up on our last shift of the morning, we'll see it drop a little bit more from where we're at. Good morning, Wednesday, July 16th at 5 a.m. Let's have a look, see what things look like today. Andy's filming, but he's forward doing a rigging check right now. So we settled the boat down. He's checking out all of the shrouds, and he's going to go look at the furlers, and then he's going to get back here quickly. Andy's turned into one hell of a salty son of a bitch. He's up there cleaning up some lines that came off the winch drum at the mast. Yeah, it's you hear people describe sailors with true grit. I don't know if I knew what that meant until I was on a long passage where you get to the point where you just kind of run out of energy, enthusiasm, and everything else when you're grinding away, bashing for days and days and days. So when you dig at the bottom of the barrel for all the perseverance that you have, that extra stuff that's left at the bottom of the barrel is grit. This boy's got it. He's kept a good attitude through the whole thing, and we're day 13 or 14. All right, it's Thursday, July 17th, just past 4:30 a.m. and it's light here. We are headed to kind of our final waypoint before we get home, and we're gonna have to pinch and really push hard to get there because of the clockwise winds going around that compressed high that we've been chasing for a while. So those angles are working against us. Things are starting to level out a little bit. We're getting closer into the 40s for true wind angle, which really helps us a lot. So we're getting on track. We're going to be heeled over probably close to 20 degrees for the next couple of days, and hopefully don't bash our brains out into waves and stuff like that. How's it looking out there? I think the forecast is for the seas to come up to about 2.5 meters. I know they can stack, and that's kind of an average. We're definitely seeing some 3-meter waves out here. Kind of sucks because we had to slow the boat down a little bit just because we were slamming into these waves. So we furled the Genoa a little bit, and we're not slamming. We're also a few degrees lower. So instead of sitting in the 40s apparent wind angle, we're now in the 50s. I think we need to hang here with these seas because otherwise we're just plowing into them, and last thing we want to do is break something on the boat here when we're getting towards the the final stretch. And by final stretch, it's less than 1,300 nautical miles, but our bow's pointed that direction. So this is this to me is kind of like we're pointed home. I don't want anything to break. Alright, quick update is Thursday, July 14th. I don't know, maybe almost 9:30 p.m. We're continue to just kind of get our asses kicked here. It's you know, we've been on this beat almost non-stop, close hauled, and what we're trying to do is kind of level out around a course over ground of about 100 degrees. Right now we're at 125-ish, and we're getting pushed down because the true wind direction has come up, but we also had the winds come up on us as well. They were blowing about 24 earlier. They've dropped down a little bit now to like 18 or 19, but the sea states also kind of sucks. So we have to reduce sail, because if we don't, we can get more speed when we just pound into the waves. I mean, slam into the waves at the speed that we break things, and I don't want to do that. So we're probably doing closer to maybe 4.5 knots right now, and from a wind perspective, things are pretty smooth. From a sea perspective, it's just a washing machine. It sucks. Friday, July 18th, 6:04 a.m. So, man, another tough night of just tough sailing conditions. You know, again, it's not like the winds are super horrible, you know, kind of getting into the 20s on the high end and settling around maybe 16 nominal, but the wind waves, primary, secondary, and tertiary waves are all coming from different directions, since we're kind of coming underneath this high here, and it's just making for really uncomfortable seas with you know, with rolling action as well as some vertical acceleration, and then, you know, just slamming into waves anytime we get up any real speed. And I would say that the waves were really more about 3 meters. I was thinking that they were going to peak at about 2.5, definitely like 3 meter waves. They might be down just a hair right now, but the action when you get in towards a squall gets worse. So not just the wind, but the wave state gets a little bit crazier. So right now I think we're on the edge of kind of, I mean, I'd call it a squall. There's a cloud, and I can see some rain up ahead of us as well. Friday, July 18th at 3:12 p.m. So still here on the perch under the Dodger. We are, it's more the same, but it's going to change a little bit. So we're seeing the waves are kind of forming more legion versus the crazy chop that we had. There's still some chop, so we still get these little kind of slams and stuff once in a while. That's pretty much avoidable, but the one thing that we noticed is 16 knots of wind. Like we're picking up speed, the boat's going faster because the you know, we don't have as much chop coming from all different directions. So I think the waves are coming from about 40 degrees. It's actually, the wind's going to die tonight, and the true wind is going to clock a little bit more clockwise from about, you know, in the 40s or so true wind angle, or 50s to about 80, but at the same time what wind is there is going to die, and that's going to die before the sea state calms down, which is going to be gradually just sloping down over the next 2 days. So now we're thinking about, okay, well, at what point are we likely going to be motor sailing? How long are we going to be motor sailing? And what's the sea state? Because we really don't want to run the, we don't use the hydrovane when we're motoring, but then also the autopilot, we don't want to beat it up in rough seas and stuff like that. Good morning. It's 4:30 a.m. Saturday, July 19th. So that compressed high that we had that gave us fits coming out of Hawaii, and we tried to boomerang underneath it. Our plan was to, you know, boomerang underneath that and then just take a straight shot into Southern California. And now we have another development. which has been forming over the last few days, which is there's another high pressure bubble which is formed to the southeast of that, which we are actually in right now. If you look at conditions, still a tad rolly because we're motor sailing, but conditions have leveled out quite a bit. We're making almost 4 knots motor sailing at 1700 RPMs, which is our economy cruise. The problem is this high pressure bubble is gonna sit here for several days, and that means no wind. So we're gonna motor sail and try and catch the northwest corner of it, and then when it fills in, we'll start sailing. But I think for the next, probably 3 days, and we've got like 4 days worth of motoring and maybe another day of reserve after that. We're cutting it pretty close on our fuel. So we're motoring and naturally look ahead of us, Squall City up there. Got a big one up the port, and then there's a smaller one to starboard. And we're gonna go right through it. We're just gonna raw dog this. All right, we diverted to starboard. Look at this. I can't even tell how far that squall away is, but it's pretty dark over there. So we're gonna go to starboard, which probably means it's gonna come right on top of us. We'll see, maybe I can pick it up on weather radar. Yeah, it's not coming up super thick on weather radar. So there's some rain there, but it looks super intense. No real wind whatsoever, just a little bit of rain. All right, just turn on the water maker. We're transferring from the port tank under the port settee to the starboard. So the water maker feeds into the port tank. So I'm doing a little transfer right now, and then when I get done, I'm gonna check the total dissolved solids, the TDS, and we want a number less than 300, and then we'll divert to the tank and start filling up the port tank. All right, let's give it a try. 190. 190 is pretty good for me. We'll take it. So this is one of the problems that I have. It's not so much the here and now. I mean, if you look at conditions outside, a few modest clouds. The sunlight's still poking through at this 4:30 p.m. on Saturday, July the 19th. So the current conditions are really like pretty chill. We're just motoring, and but my concerns are always kind of on like what comes next. So we're trying to make our way across this high on the other side of this bubble to get into this downflow that will take us to Southern California. I'm worried that we're not going to have enough fuel to get there. So we sit around and there's not much to do here other than run up data charges on Starlink. I sit and I worry about these things. I worry about, are we going to have enough fuel? What if we wrap our prop in a net? We did pass a section of net really closely to us about an hour and a half ago. And we continue to see crap, just junk along the way. Kind of a surprising amount. It's like every, half hour or so, you see something floating by. Sometimes you see it every few minutes, and sometimes, every few hours, but it's kind of nonstop. And we've seen that continuously since we've been doing this. I don't know. I'm worried about the weather, what's going to happen going into this next week, whether we're going to get becalmed, whether we are going fast enough, because we're only making about 4 knots, maybe a little bit less. Any breeze that we've had, little breeze that we've had in this high, has been working against us, not for us, except for maybe about half an hour early this morning, and that's it. So we're really looking to try and catch a break for once. We haven't gotten it yet on this entire voyage. Luckily, the boat and everybody's doing all right, but it's stressful. Noon Sunday, July 20th. So the main is off. The main is down. The engine is off. Andy is untying jerry cans. And we're going to do a fuel transfer. So we've got wanted to do this in calm conditions, which is, today's our best day to do that. So I took the cap off the deck fill. And this is a 1.5 inch MPT. Piece of PVC. So we insert that. So, you know, like if, I mean, it's not really an issue today, but if we had, you know, water potentially that could splash on deck or something, this could help protect us a little bit from the water getting into the tank. So I went ahead and just put it there because I've never used it and wanted to see how that might work out, which is cool. And I think Andy's struggling a little bit with the those lines being fouled with salt.
It's fine. The lines are just really stiff. But we're getting there. Just tied down a lot.
We're gonna put 20 gallons in. We probably got 32, 33, something like that gallons left in the tank right now. We're gonna put 20 in. We'll have enough for another 3 days of motoring, probably before that, you know, till we get into our reserves or close to it. So we're gonna try and conserve fuel, but I think we do have another day of motoring here to get out of this hole. May still start to fill in just a little bit today and more into tomorrow. So we hope at the very least we can get some motor sailing in and get a little bit of push from the wind, which it's been on our nose most of the time. So it's been working against us since midnight until we killed the engine, and we're not moving now. We're averaging about 4.3 knots, which is better than yesterday. So yesterday's mileage was only 99 miles. But we're over 2,000 miles covered total and less than 1,000 miles to go. So it's a pretty big milestone day for us. Siphoning.
In 16,000 feet of water. Here we go. All
right, let's fire up the engine. 74 degrees. Man, you really dove far away and we're drifting.
You're not far.
And he says we have a little bit on the prop.
I got it, but it was kind of lodged in the middle of your the folding.
That's what that is right there, that black thing?
Yeah.
That was in the prop.
Yeah.
Nice work. You want to give it a super quick scrub? What a professional. Sunday, July 20th at 5:30 p.m. Winds are light. We've got about 6.5 to 7 knots of true wind, but we're motor sailing with full canvas. So we don't have enough wind to really drive us very quickly with 6 or 7 knots of wind, but it gets us up from about 4 knots up to, it's like about 5.3 knots, 5.6. So we're gaining, you know, a knot and a half by putting these sails out. Monday, July 21 at 4:11 a.m. Look at all this light we still have. So we're still counting our gallons of diesel and motor sailing into day 3. Looks pretty foggy and or rainy out, so that may be what we're in store for today. It's coming up on 9 o'clock. These are the moments that, you know, that kind of test your patience in a different way. We're not dealing with anything other than, you know, just about champagne sailing right now. We're doing a little over 4 knots, which is enough for us to cut the engines. But the problem is we don't know how long this wind's going to hold, so we got about 20 minutes off the last stretch with the engine off, and I just turned off the engine here a few minutes ago. So it's nice, and you want the wind, you know, to just keep pushing you along, but I think it's going to be really patchy for this next week, and we're going to have to hunt for the wind, and we're going to be playing this game of motor on, motor off. I'm wondering if we're going to have enough diesel to, you know, kind of get through it. 20 till 7 a.m. on Tuesday, July 22nd. So we just got a new waypoint. We're gonna continue along 35 north to about 130 degrees west. We got a little bit of drizzle, some squall action. You see it's a little cloudy. You can see a little rain up ahead of us.
Crushing it. Crushing.
.40 a.m. local time. I'm getting ready to do yet another talking head update. My boy Andy's over here eating oatmeal.
Yummy.
And I just want to talk a little bit about kind of what's going through my mind right now. We're trying to get out of this high pressure bubble, so I've been kind of sweating how much motoring range do we have, and can we get out of that high pressure bubble, and then what happens after that with the forecast. Well, we're out of the bubble, and the forecast in terms of wind midweek here looks pretty bleak for about 3 days. You know, starting like later today. And then we eventually get east and we make it over towards the Channel Islands, and then the forecast is 20 to 30 knots. And we're likely going to get hammered for a while. And then once we get inside of Santa Barbara Island, we're probably going to be back to motoring again on the last 10 gallons that we have in the jerry cans. So we might have another day's worth. I'm going to go back and triple check all of my arithmetic on our motoring and consumption, and come up with the best estimate on how many hours we have remaining. I think I've got a decent idea, but I want to double check that. But you go through these periods of kind of stress and relief. Like, you're stressed when you're motoring, and you know, Andy at one point said, hey, I think we've been motoring for 2 days. And I'm like, no, we've been motoring for 3. Like, the days just blur together. And we motored for over 72 hours, which is, you know, a fair amount of our diesel just to get across this high. So I'm stressed the whole time. Are we going to have enough fuel to kind of dig ourselves out of this hole? Because we don't have enough fuel to motor back. And then now this morning, we knew we were going to get a little bit of wind, but we've got 13, 14 knots of true wind, and we're doing better than 6 knots speed over ground, which is like fantastic sailing. So now we've got a bit of relief. Well, we're going to have some more pressure because this wind is going to change and it's going to die down a little bit later. And then we're like, oh, are we going to be able to kind of stay above 35 north to get the easting that we want to get in until we get into these downflows that are a little bit closer to shore? But we're under 700 nautical miles. And how many trips, Andy, is that to Catalina Harbor nonstop from San Pedro?
15.
15 nonstop.
15 nonstop trips. Back and
so
forth.
We are starting to count our trips, our remaining miles, and how many trips nonstop consecutive it would be to Catalina Island from San Pedro, which really excites me to start thinking about our trip in those terms, because at some point we're gonna get down to 1.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And you know, when we're 26 miles away or whatever from Catalina. I mean, it's gonna be all smiles on this ship. I don't care what the weather is. 4:38 p.m. Tuesday, July 22nd. So we're trying to stay above 35 north. The wind's shifting and true wind is clocking around and increasing, which means we are really pinching about 40 degrees apparent wind to try and stay as close as we can to 35, because if we dip down at some point, we'll probably fire up the engine and motor back up when the wind lightens up. So we're able to kind of hold the line here with about 16 to 17 knots of true, but we are pinching, so we're only doing like 4.5 knots or so, where we could really be cooking. But I just don't want to fall off that much. And if you look outside, it's just like this dreary gray fog. Absolutely nothing to see here. Good morning, it's Thursday, July 24th. I believe this is the start of day 22 since we've been out here. It's, I'll say 5:07 a.m. local time, but you know, as we've been going west, we've been crossing time zones and everything. Let's have a look out here. There's not much wind. Mid-single digits is all we're seeing, and we are only doing 2 or 3 knots. And we're doing 2 or 3 knots in almost the wrong direction. We're headed at 150. We really want to head at like 090 or close to it. Head due east. There's this little eddy, might lift us a little bit over closer to east here, so we're gonna try that for a little bit and head a little bit further south back into the wind. So there is a little bit more wind down there. Kind of a beautiful day out, but it's a little tough from a morale standpoint for me today. We're kind of in the doldrums, and I kind of feel like mentally I'm in the doldrums a little bit. Starlink is not connecting. We started having problems last night, and today we were getting drops a little bit worse than a drop, and we couldn't reconnect. I was suspecting, you know, likely a hardware issue. And then I still have Iridium. So Iridium's a pretty good backup that I'm able to text, and you can make quick phone calls on it and stuff like that, but the phone calls get pretty expensive. My son texted me and said, hey, are you having any issues? There's the biggest geomagnetic storm today since 2003. And he said he saw some references to Starlink being impacted. I mean, it's beautiful out, but this seas are calm. This lack of wind is kind of soul crushing today. We had our worst day yesterday in terms of miles, 84 nautical miles covered. So second day less than 100. And today's getting off to a worse start. 2:30 Thursday, July 24th. We is motor sailing, mostly motoring. Winds are down to 2.9, 3 knots. Starlink's back on, confirmed the worldwide outage from the geomagnetic storm causing interference. So I was glad it's not an equipment issue on our end, or we would have been saying Starlink for the rest of the trip likely. Iridium Go kept working. So Iridium for the wind. So after we motored last night, we had 4 really good hours of sailing, followed by this nonsense. Three knots of wind, can't really do much with it. So I'm gonna roll into Genoa, and I just kind of wait for some more wind, and then try and do some sailing when the wind comes up. Okay, just when you start to take a nap out here, look at this. Ooh, we got a squall. Get a little rinse. If you look underneath these cushions that I'm trying to keep dry, 14.4 true. Feast or famine. Yeah, that's not really feast. It's perfect. Skalgal at 3 nautical miles behind us. We are 6 for 6 with ships responding to VHF when they're close AIS contacts here on the 405 of the North Pacific Ocean here. Reflecting on things I may have done differently on this passage, knowing what I now know. So this situation with the North Pacific High is kind of flummoxed everyone, including all the pros doing the Transpac and everything else. It's been quite a mess. It's certainly presented challenges to Andy and I. But you know, one plan is you go north from Hawaii to the North Pacific High, and then you try and motor through it to the other side, or motor through the south end to get back to the coastal downflow. That'll take you back down the coast. And, we're chasing the high. I think what I would do differently if I ever had to do this again is I would take at least twice the fuel that we had on deck. We had 30 gallons on deck. I probably would take 80 on deck with the 90 in the tank. Because that would have made the difference to us, where instead of just drifting right here kind of in the doldrums, which we're back in, we would have been motoring. And we would have been able to motor our way out of this big hole that we've been in for a few days, and it would have shaved a few days off the trip. So for me, it would have been well worth carrying that extra fuel. I thought we had plenty because I was expecting no more than 4 or 5 days of motoring total. And we had that easily, plus some reserves. To go back and look at the total number of days that we've motored, but I want to say we've probably done like 7 at least at this point of just days of motoring, which is quite a bit. We'd prefer to sail, but when you're kind of stuck here and not really moving, we really need about 6 knots. With the waves and everything, the sails just kind of flog and everything. So it's not that we don't move in less than that, but we move very slowly, and it's a lot of wear and tear and chafe on the sails and the lines and everything else, the rigging. So right now we're looking at 4.3 knots, and we just have the main up. And as soon as I see about 6 knots or so, then the Genoa's going up. Merskalgal. This is sailing vessel Keeldragger, sailing vessel Keeldragger, sailing vessel Keeldragger, hailing you on 16.
Sailing vessel Keeldragger, sailing vessel Keeldragger. This is Merskalgal. Go ahead.
Hey, Merskalgal, sailing vessel Keeldragger here. I see you're about 12.7 nautical miles away from us with a CPA of less than a mile. Just wanted to see if you can put a little bit more distance in between us. Over.
Understood. I will increase my CPA. For now it is 1 mile. I will increase it around 1.5 or 2 miles. So I will alter my course to port.
Okay, copy that. Appreciate you altering to port and increasing your CPA to 1.5 miles.
Okay, understood.
Okay, Keeldragger, standing by on 16.
Copy that. Have a good watch.
Saturday, July 26th, 9 a.m. local. So, with our fuel, we got a couple of things. I compute our consumption. Cruising RPM is about a half gallon an hour, and I add a little fudge factor to that to kind of come up with, I'll say, a fairly conservative estimate on how much fuel we've burned, and from that we can calculate how much is remaining. And then the other thing that we have is we have It's like an ultrasonic fuel gauge instrument. So it sits up at the top of the tank, and it measures the distance of air from the top of the tank to the fuel, and then from there you can kind of extrapolate how much fuel is left. Based on, and that gauge doesn't work as well when the fuel is up high for whatever reason. I think I need a sight tube in order to get a more accurate reading. Now, the fuel gauge is telling us that we have about 25 gallons of fuel left, which if we, at our half gallon an hour burn rate, if we rolled for 48 hours, we have about 7 gallons left in the tank, and we really don't want to run the tank empty. And then we've got the 10 gallons reserve and jerry cans up on deck. So the wind is looking like it's going to fill in tomorrow afternoon through tomorrow afternoon and evening, that there's going to be better pressure. So right now there's just 4 knots of true wind. There's really nothing to sail with here, and we'd just be kind of flogging about. So, you know, Andy and I are leaning towards just sending it and trying to motor as much as we can as the winds are light. If the winds come up, we'll sail. And if we get any benefit, we've got the main and the staysail up. Any little bit of wind that we get that comes across our beam will give us a little bit of lift. So we might get like an extra 10% or so efficiency increase in that. So that's kind of what we're hoping to do, is just continue to motor sail through this light stuff, which is forecast through most of the rest of today. It might be a patch or two with a little bit of wind, and then into tomorrow evening. And then into tomorrow evening, we'll transfer the last of the 10 gallons into the tank, and then we're done motoring until we're on the home stretch. All right, it's cooking with Keeldragger time. We're making Spam McMuffins. Got some Spam up there. Should probably call them Spam Mark Muffins. All right, there's the Spam Mark Muffin finished product. Not too bad. Sunday, July 27th, 4:40 p.m. local time, or at least what we're calling local time. So you can hear the motor still on. We're still motor sailing, doing a little over 4 knots and some change, close to 5 times. This is what we've seen. It's been like this. We're chasing this wind. So if you look at predict wind, and I'll put the image up on the screen here, you can see where we are and see the wind that we're trying to get into, and get into a little bit stronger winds. So we have about 7 knots of wind right now, which is at a apparent wind angle of, actually it's better now, it's about 60 degrees. It was coming at about 130, 140 degrees, like really far behind us. And with that little bit of wind, it doesn't give us enough push to really do much, unless we're getting crazy and putting the ASIM up and stuff like that. But even then, we're running at some pretty deep angles. So the wind's been kind of shifting around a little bit. Right now it's coming out of the north, true wind 001, and really when it settles down, the wind should be coming around, like maybe 340. But it'd be nice if it was coming a little bit more north for us. In this lighter wind, we'd make a lot better speeds and stuff like that. One of the last, not the last, but one of the last sunsets we're gonna see while we're on this particular passage, and get a load of this one. Good morning. It's 4 a.m. on Monday, July the 28th. So it's really like 7 a.m. California time, and we're pretty close to California, but we're still using our original time from Hawaii. We'll change clocks as we get in. But we've been sailing along last night. We did our put our reserve fuel into the tank last night. The 10 gallons are about 20 hours worth of motoring. So we're done motoring unless we really need to at this point. We've been sailing since last night. We got into the downflow squarely enough. We've got pretty decent wind, although right now it's about 12 knots. Could probably use a little bit more. I could put a little bit more canvas out to get us a little bit more speed. So we're doing about 4 knots. It's 274 to Catalina. Now that could be two really good days for us to get to 274 miles. I think the more likely scenario is going to be slow to mid today, and things will start picking up after that. And if we think about that kind of in terms of miles, you know, maybe we do a couple 120 day miles, which means we've got 34 to make up. So today is Monday, so we've got all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, Thursday. By midday we should be there, if not sooner. Sails are rattling a little bit because OOCL Utah had asked us to pass in front of their bow, which means we are about 30 degrees off, headed to starboard, and they are going to pass astern of us. You can see them off in the distance. They're going to pass us on our port side, and then as soon as we get some clearance with them and we can start heading back up, we're going to get back on course. So I don't mind changing course for these guys, because there was another ship coming the opposite direction. As long as it's not nuking, and we're able to do so pretty easily. So the sails are flogging a little because we're running super deep, at least the Genoa is. But I appreciate the fact that they were responsive and communicative on VHF. Continue with our 100% batting rate of professional encounters here on the high seas. 9:06 Monday. Confirmed whale spouts over to starboard. OOCL Utah, about 1.5 miles away. That's their CPA, and they're overtaking us off our port. Look at this monster. They're gonna dirty our air. They're so close. They are 1,099 foot cargo ship headed towards Long Beach. Boy. (8:30) Monday the 28th. It's really 11:30 local time here in Southern California. I'm actually really amazed that we've had 100% of positive contacts on VHF with other ships. So this is Pluto Voyager passing us starboard to starboard. And then if we look behind us, that's Ukul Utah. So Pluto Voyager, Ukul Utah. Both responded, both are keeping their distance from us. We are holding our course and asserting our rights out here out on the high seas. But no, I was super impressed that everybody's professionally responded to us. We don't get that same treatment coming in and out of LA Harbor, Long Beach when we're crossing the shipping lanes of Catalina. It might be because they're listening to San Pedro Long Beach traffic on different channels primarily, but it's, you know, amazing that it's maybe a 50% contact rate there in a pretty busy spot. But we're kind of in the zone of shipping traffic here because we're coming in. We're on the final stretch. All right, that's Pluto Leader off our beam, if I got the fucking name right. Pluto Leader. What a difference going down one makes. We're doing 20, we're not doing 20. We have 20, it's blowing 22 knots. And we still have the full main up. We're gonna reach here pretty soon. But doing 7 to 7.5 knots, speed of ground, flying along, and let's just chill. Look at this.
Santa Barbara Island. All craft advisory now in effect until 3 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time Thursday.
Let's go have a look above, just out of curiosity. Dude!
Yo.
You can't see anything out here, can you?
No. It's just grayness.
We are not far from, what are we, like 15, 20 miles? From
No
San
way.
Miguel?
Is that how far it is?
Wait, how many miles
So
are we
it,
on the
it
next
would be
one?
it would be this way. But we
Yeah, I mean, in front of us a little bit. Yeah. You see anything up there?
let me see. Holy
He says he sees land. He might,
get your ass up here.
but I think he's been hallucinating.
No.
Yeah, he's been hallucinating.
No.
He's
Dude,
been hallucinating.
I see the side of the mountain.
I don't trust you.
Dude, I'm telling you
Let's
right
have a look.
now.
What?
Right there. Right there. Right there's the side of the freaking mountain.
There's no mountain there.
Dude, you're blind. Use these. Dude.
I see land.
Land
I see
ho!
land.
Woo!
Land ho! Yes! Yes! Woo! Yes!
Ah!
Land mother ho! Woo! That wasn't
Oh,
even
dude.
orchestrated. Look at that.
Dude.
You can't see this on the camera, but we can see it.
It's right there. You can't see it. It's right there. I see it.
God damn it. Been a month. Holy shit.
Okay, hold on a second. I'll call you right back.
That's land.
Dude.
You saw it, dude. You saw it.
That is 100%
That is land.
Oh my goodness. I
Hell
told you
yeah.
that was a silhouette. I told you.
Hell yes. Wow.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Holy sh.
To think about how far we came that way.
May have to bleep some of this.
Yes.
Land and ho.
dog.
God damn.
Yes.
Yes. Andy will have the action shot. So we're triple reefed for the night, most likely.
Yes, sir.
All right. You want to rest?
Yeah.
All right. I gotta get some more clothes on. It is cold out. I'm getting reports that Santa Rosa Island is in view now.
Right here.
Where?
10 o'clock.
Okay. How do you know that's not San Miguel?
Because San Miguel's right there.
Okay. All right. It's not going to come in super good anyways. You guys will just have to take Andy's word for it. I can see land over there, so we're in it. The wave state is getting a little dicier. Doesn't feel too bad though.
Downwind.
Downwind.
Downwind is so much nicer. Holy crap.
I don't hear anything. Andy said he heard tsunami watch. It's 3:10, which would be actually 6:10 p.m. Pacific time, Tuesday, July 29th. And I don't hear any updates yet. He said 20, so 22 alpha. Tsunami warning from San Francisco.
Security, security, security. All stations, this is United States Coast Guard, Sector San Francisco. Break. National Tsunami Warning Center has issued a tsunami watch for portions of Northern California. If this alert is upgraded to a warning, the captain of the port, San Francisco, will prohibit commercial vessels from entering commercial harbors in Northern California. In preparation for a tsunami, port users, vessel and barge operations, and terminal and facility operations are strongly encouraged to review your emergency procedures to protect lives, the environment, and property.
So San Miguel, Santa Rosa. Santa Rosa's kind of off our port beam, but we're cruising along, 23, 24 knots of wind, gusting a little higher. I've seen 29 a few times. Nothing in the 30s. Hopefully we don't have any of that. We're kind of speed is surging with the waves up and down. Let's look. Real clear view relative to the clouds that we had earlier. So that's Santa Rosa. Santa Cruz is going to be just over on the other side. So you can see the peaks of Santa Cruz Island just over the clouds over there. And Anacapa's a little further. You won't be able to see Anacapa from here, but
Security, security, security. All stations, all stations, all stations. This is Coast Guard Sector Los Angeles, Coast Guard Sector Los Angeles, Coast Guard Sector Los Angeles. Tsunami message number 4, National Weather Service, National Tsunami Warning Center, Palmer, Alaska. Updated at 7:25 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. Coastal areas between and including the California-Mexico border to the British Columbia-Alaska border. The tsunami advisory remains in effect for the coastal areas of California, Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia from the California-Mexico border to the British Columbia-Alaska border.
unbelievable. There's helicopters over Marina Del Rey telling people to get the hell out because of the tsunami warning. Meanwhile, we're using our reserve diesel right now because the winds dropped from 25 knots down to 22 to 20 to 14 down to 3. So we're trying to get out of the shadow of the northern Channel Islands to see if we get back into a little bit of wind. We've had to claw for every mile on this adventure, and that's hasn't changed on our final approach in. We look to starboard. You can see something over there, a little bit of a gray kind of cloud looking thing. It's about 12 miles away, a little bit less, is Santa Barbara Island. I think it's obscured with a little bit of a marine layer probably hovering over the island right now. Usually you can get a much better view of it, so not too far away. We've anchored there several times. All right, so we've got a better view of Santa Barbara Island now. Right there. Fast exit, fast exit, fast exit. Sailing vessel Keeldragger, sailing vessel Keeldragger, hailing you on 16.
Keeldragger, this is fast exit 16 over.
I want to go up to channel 69er.
Roger, 69er.
Fast exit, this is Keeldragger.
Keeldragger, fast exit 69er.
Hey, are you guys just coming back from the Transpac over?
Roger that, just getting back now.
We were hoping to beat you in. What day did you guys leave Hawaii?
2 weeks ago, Thursday, over.
All right, we left on July 3rd, so we're just crawling in. We saw you guys coming across. Looks like everybody had a fit with the high. Welcome back, though.
Roger, thanks. You guys already back, over?
No, we're I don't know, we're 6 or 7 miles, maybe little bit behind you to starboard, in between you and Santa Barbara Island.
Roger that. So you guys almost back too? Over.
Getting close. We think we have just enough fuel to make it to 2 harbors to pick up some more.
That's good that you got enough. Not enough wind to sail around here, over.
Yeah, we gave it a shot, but at any rate, good to see you guys out here all getting back. I was curious looking at the fleet split and all that coming out of Hawaii with the high being messed up. But we had our challenges too getting back, so we're pretty excited.
Okay, roger that. Well, welcome back, and thanks for the call. We're back to 16, over.
Keeldragger back to 16. Andy tells me he sees Catalina, so this is home. We got to check this out. This is a pretty big moment. We're about 10 miles out from the west end.
I can also still see Santa Barbara Island barely.
Is this dark mass up in front of us? That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Yoo-hoo! Woohoo! Yes!
Hell yeah, brother.
High five!
Yeah, yeah.
Woo! The stoke tank is definitely full. See, this is the west end. I can see Eagle Rock over there. I had this site dozens of times. It never gets old. I just absolutely love it. A pretty big moment for me personally. Pretty heavy. I couldn't be any happier right now, or more grateful for everyone and everything that's led up to this moment of getting the adventure kind of wrapped almost. So we've still got some Harbor Reef burgers and some drinking to do, and I think I'm gonna stay here a couple days, and then Friday morning head back early and then get back to the slip. So that'll be maybe the official conclusion of this, but this to me is really like getting home, getting back to Catalina. So how would you rate our downwind mooring pickup?
You guys did great. You know, it's just how it goes. You know, you get the bow on and then you just tow you backwards.
That's
Stay
right.
Okay. You didn't even need me.
Not supposed to mention the toe.
Sorry. I didn't help at all.
That's right. Andy's taking his first few baby steps on land. Like, and we got Mark with us. 10 after 8 a.m. Engines running. It's Friday, August 1st. And we are about to do the short final leg home from Catalina Island to San Pedro, Los Angeles Harbor. This really felt like the homecoming coming back here, but it's still a big deal getting back into the slip. Adios, Two Harbors. Adios. Might have a little bit of an escort for our way home. Oh, there's one right there. There they are. There they go. Came by and gave us a look at least. Love it.